everybody. Today we are making this thing play a lot better. If I'm not mistaken, they call this the... oh, I forget the name. Maybe this is the Texas Special. No, that's not it. Maybe y'all can help me in the comments. But it has the 3 pickups. It's got the Strat pickup in the middle and a 5-way selector. The action is super high. I'll measure it in a second. Growing up, my friend had one of these, and these were always cool. His was red though. I always thought this one was cool. I was gonna buy it off of him, but he already sold it. It's hard to play because the action's very high. I measured the strings that were on it. There are 10s. We're gonna go back with the same size, but we're doing the Elixir OptiWeb. Great strings. I really like these. Let's measure the action. The bass side. God, that's high. Let me get my glasses. My Opti visors. Two 2/16 or 1/8 of an inch. Right at 2/16 or 1/8 of an inch on both sides, so it's up pretty high. Very high. The first thing I noticed, and it's why I have the truss rod tool out, is there's a massive bow in the truss rod. I'm gonna unplug it because I gotta leave this on the side a lot. There's a good 32nd of an inch relief in this thing, so we're gonna tighten this a lot. To get this neck straight, it's like visibly... well, let's do that. And then the reason I'm doing this before I'm changing the strings is because these strings are the same gauge as the other ones, or the new ones I'm putting on rather. Tighten that a lot. Friend says it's the Tex-Mex pickups. That may be. Well, it is a... I guess that makes sense. It's like a Texas Special, and this is a made in Mexico Tele. These are cool. Anyway, I already got the... just that adjustment already has got this to come down a lot. Or at least it feels like it. Maybe it's not a lot. Yeah, that almost came down to 32nd of an inch just by tightening it. I need to tighten it more. Let me check the tuning, because as I tighten the truss rod, the strings go sharp. Oh, that went flat. So loosen it a bit so it takes a little bit of tension off. We're going to tighten this more. I can tell they hung this guitar on a wall because it's real dusty up here. Tighten that a little more. We're gonna check it. We're in the ballpark of what I like to see for relief. We're gonna tighten it a little bit more, but already we've dropped if I can read the right end of the ruler. We're at about 5/64 now. Wait, did I read that right? We're almost there. Yeah, we're 5/64, and I can still tighten the neck a little more. A lot more. Another tighten. That was about like 1/8 of a turn. Still a little more. We check the tuning. Maybe we can loosen the strings a little bit more. You can see now it's in tune. Okay, yeah, slightly sharp from me tightening the truss rod. See, all these went a little sharp. I like to loosen them up as I do this, so I'm not fighting the tension of the strings. We'll tighten it again. We're definitely going to clean this when we switch the strings. That's awfully close. We're gonna loosen the strings and tighten it some more. It could still, this neck could still be straighter. I don't know if y'all can hear that, but that's me lowering the pitch so that it plays in tune, because tightening the truss rod will tighten the strings a little bit. Another 1/4 of a turn. Check the relief here. This guitar now is in the ballpark of playability finally. And then I like that relief right there. That's good for this. Let's see. And we brought it down. It's about 4.5/64 on both the treble and the bass side. Gonna kind of help the neck go straight a little bit. I'm right now debating if I should tighten it one more time or not. Let me tune it again. That's important when you're setting an instrument up. You have to see how it is when it's in tune. Let's check it again. Just one more tighten and we'll call it. All right, I think that'll do it. I'm just gonna put this away now. We can still go a little more. And then that's much better relief. The relief at the beginning was like a full 32nd of an inch, and now we're within thousandths of an inch. There's still a decent amount of relief though. Maybe we can go a little bit more. I think we're good actually. Measure again. That brought us down a lot, and that's before I even touch the bridge. See if you can see that. It's before I even touch the bridge. Those last adjustments didn't change the action much. Still at about 4.5 64ths on both sides. There's a little bit, it's like in between the 4 and the 5 64ths mark on both sides. A little bit taller on the bass side. Do I want to drop this a little bit? Yeah, I do. Now that the neck's straight, I'm gonna lower the saddles a little bit. I'm gonna get my final, at least action and setup minus the intonation. We're going to check the intonation with the new strings, but we're going to get the height now. Oh, that's right, I'm changed where I keep this stuff. And what we're gonna do is I'm gonna kind of level these, not like to themselves, not with each other, so that they move better. They're all like that. I know they're all gonna end up being at different heights because that's what they're supposed to be, but they all need to be, like, each saddle needs to be level, or at least parallel with the, you know, the ashtray. Alright. This side needs to come up a bit. Alright, we're going to do the 2 outside strings, and then we'll use the feeler gauge to do the inside strings. I dropped that side too much. Okay, I'm gonna come back up on this one. We're basically gonna set it at right there, which is 4/64 or 1/16 of an inch, and then the top E string we're gonna do slightly under that, so just shy of that. And no, I don't mean 3/64, I mean like like 3.664. Yeah. I'm joking, you know, I mean like in between the 3 and the 4. Just a little bit less than the bass side. Right now it's almost there. We can just go like another half turn on these. And yeah, and we're gonna take our radius gauge. Did I call this a feeler gauge earlier? I'm sure I did. It's not a feeler gauge. These are radius gauges. We're gonna get the 9.5 because that's what Strats and Tellies are, as long as they're Fender. Not all Telly-shaped guitars have that. Ah, my phone. put it on the neck right there. That's kind of hard to see. And I sight down it like a violin, like this, and make sure there's no gap between the bottom side of my gauge and the fingerboard. Although I already knew it was 9.5. That's what most Fenders are. So now we're going to take it to the bridge, and then now we're using the top part of the gauge. We're going to lower the rest of the strings so that they barely touch it, and we do that by listening for buzz. I'm sorry to do this off camera. I'm going to do this. This is the way I like to do it. I like to hold the instrument like this and look down it. So kind of like a violin. And we're just going to loosen the other strings. Actually, some we got to raise. Some I may have taken down too much the first time. I think it's the A string. That's the D. B is a little high now. Gotta lower that. Still is. Lower it some more. Still is. Lower it some more. The A and the D need to come down. But they're like just barely, they're already right there. There it is. Alright, so maybe I can try to explain that on camera better, what I just did. So with the tool under the string, you got to get each of the strings to just barely touch the top of the radius. And then they call this an understring radius gauge for that purpose, because it goes under the strings. And then you're basically using this radius here, it's on both top and bottom, to basically set the low point of the, or you know, where the bottoms of the strings are, so that theoretically they have about the same distance to push down before they touch the frets. And so now that's most of the setup already. Straightening the neck, lowering the action, and now look where we're at. We're in the realm of decent playability. And I know some people, oh, I need to tune it. Some people really like to deck these things, but that usually runs into buzzing. I know that after doing so many of these, I kind of know the limits, and this is where I set it to, which is a good go-to. And for one, it's already improvement. It's like half the height. But I usually go to about this measurement, because if I go any lower than this, I risk finding issues with how exactly perfect the fret dressing was. And I'm not trying to refret this instrument. That's not what it's here for. I'm trying to make this playable within its you know, without doing expensive work to this thing. That's, you know, like basically what I consider a setup. Let me tune it again and play before I pull the strings off and restring it and clean it. Actually, no, I'm just gonna do that using the new rechargeable with the USB, what do they call that? USB-C now? I don't even know anymore. Rechargeable Ernie Ball Power Peg Pro. This is a little different. Instead of the rocker trigger, you have like a standard one of those like most of your drills has. It kind of reminds me of a Ryobi tool, but I think the green is just a slightly different green. All right, off with the strings. says vintage tuners, so they go pretty quickly. Tex-Mex Telly is what I'm informed. I'm inclined to believe that. That sounds right for this. I don't know, so I guess your guess is better than mine at this point. Since these are strung to the body, I like to cut them. It just makes it easier to remove. And I can throw all these out. We got to clean this thing. It's kind of gross. A lot of dust on it. I just thought of a kind of a funny analogy because this is just dusty. It just needs to be clean. But like after touching a guitar that's a little dingy, I hate, with all due respect to the owner of this thing, but like that's why I'm gonna clean it up. But after playing this guitar and then like touching the dust and everything, it almost feels like I like stuck my hand underneath the oven, underneath the stove where it's all dusty. And anyway, time to clean this up. Since we're using steel wool, we're gonna tape off the, I like to do the frets first. So when I go back and like start scrubbing and polishing or cleaning all this, I don't know if you can see that on camera. Yeah, you see all the, we're gonna make all that go away. That's just dirt, finger, body oil and dust and dirt. We're gonna clean all that. I'm gonna polish the frets first. Here's a before. Oh, it's kind of hard to see. They look better on camera than in person. We're about to make them look even better. So I tape these because I'm using steel wool. Helps keep all the stuff off of it. Go over these. I'm gonna do like half of them and see if it shows up on camera. It's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We'll do one more. 10. So let's see if we can see the difference on the camera now. Yeah, maybe. Anyway, let's finish it up. My streams are always open for interactions. If you want to say something in the chat, I do usually respond. Try to. As we get to these last ones, I have the smaller guard. Just a basic setup on this one. Adjust its playability and intonation. Clean it up and see, you can see the steel wool stuck to the pickups, and that's why I use the tape. It's really hard to get off. Frets are shiny now. The pickups look kind of low, but that may have been because the action was so high. Next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to use Dunlop 65, and I do not recommend buying the big bottle if you're an individual. I buy this big one because I do this for a living. We sell these in like 1 ounce and 4 ounces. That would be much more appropriate than this giant thing. Start up here with the headstock. Clean off all that dust from this being hung on a wall or left on a stand. Cleans up really easily. It's good to perform maintenance. It's also like as part of a setup, when you get your guitar back and play it and it's clean with fresh strings, it already feels good, regardless of any of the the changes that were made to its hardware or to like its setup. Just because it's kind of gross to touch a guitar that has corroded strings and a bunch of body oil on it. This wasn't bad though. That just came right off. How easy that was. Trying to get that right angle in the light so it like shines in the camera. There we go. All nice and clean. We're going to do the body. I'm going to do the back of the neck, which is the easiest thing. Just that. Try not to clean over the decal too much. I don't want the ends to come up. Alright, nice and clean. I like to put a little bit of a graphite in the nut slots with my mechanical pencil. Lubricates it and helps push out any crud that may have worked its way in there. Although browsing the Dunlop website, I was able to find some guitar lubricant product that they had, so I'm gonna pick that up next time I do a Dunlop order and use that for these kind of things. String time. Elixir OptiWebs. I really like these strings. Let's put them on. We're gonna thread them all through the body first. 46 E string. .36A. The D, which is what size? 26. 17G. $13B, and then 10 high E. All right. $10. These I like to, I forget how long I'm supposed to cut these. 1, 2, 3 past this one. Let's try that. Yeah, that was good. I'm gonna go 3 past the one that I'm winding it on. So 1, 2, 3. Cut this there. Do the A string. Next one. I think this one spins faster than the other one. I like it. We sell these on the website. Well, I got one of them if you want to buy it. There's at least one on there up for grabs. I know it's quiet, but usually in these streams are geared to interact with the audience. I should be doing this more often so that the engagement stays up, but sometimes it's just hard to stream when you got a lot of other things to do. Also in the near future, I'm thinking about doing a showcase and start doing like show and tell things while I interact with the audience on some of the products I carry. Got some new products in the store that are pretty cool. I kind of want to share. One of that being Black's pedals. The other one is some of the Washburn guitars that I got and some of the entry-level acoustics. Oh, yikes. That buzzed because it's not seated in the saddle correctly. I missed a few of these. Every single one of these is not seated in the saddle correctly. Hello. Scooch all these over. There we go. There we go. Now, let's plug it in so we can hear its goodness while we tune. Let's put that middle pickup on. Let it kind of settle into itself. I may have to adjust it a little further. Probably just gonna adjust a little further and play it a little bit more. Let me find my misplaced ruler and then measure the action again, see if these new strings changed any of this. It did, because that's a little higher. Yeah, it's up just a little bit. So is it because of it's more tension? That's what I imagine. I bet if I tighten the truss rod, oh yeah. So don't have to fool with this anymore. This should be good. We're gonna tighten the truss rod because these new strings, I guess, have a slightly higher tension than the first set, and that's okay because that's an easy fix. And American Fenders have a 3/16, at least these newer style ones. Retune it. Check it again. Yeah, that feels a lot more like it did before. Weird playing and standing at this angle. Let's measure. Let me see the relief first. So we can still tighten it. think we're good. Let me just put it in tune and check. And play with the pick. Feel free to hit up the chat if you have any questions or comments. Just gonna play for a bit. And I think already my first impression is I need to loosen the truss rod a little. I think I went a little bit too far because it's a little bit buzzy down here. Otherwise, it feels pretty good. As I'm playing this and this is kind of settling into itself, it's not as buzzy as I thought it was. I think it's all right. I think I am going to loosen the truss rod a hair. I go in a little bit too far. Retune. Let's see, let me expand that window. Gavin says, I can hear a bit of that buzz. I can too. Let's see what we can do. Also would help if I play a little slower too. check the pickup height while I'm here jamming. And a lot of times when I'm setting guitars up, I'll do that. It's because it sometimes takes a while for your adjustments to kind of work themselves out. Things like to move slightly when it's just, you know, put in the state of, you know, where you were attempting to put it. That's starting to sound a lot better. Let me check the height of the pickups. And then I use these. These are from StewMac. I forget the diameters of these. So let me give you all some measurements for those following along at home. The big one's 1/8, 3/32, 1/16, and 1/32. Okay, so I guess we got intervals of 30 seconds of an inch. For most pickups, I like to use the middle two. .16 and a 32nd. That's actually kind of a lot for some of these pickups. No, it's not. I take that back. I'm going to do 3 32nds on the bass side, 1/16 on the treble side for all the pickups. I guess I could set this up there to do this. Be more so on camera. Let me move my junk. So the way we do this is we fret the instrument at the last fret, and that's where we take our measurement, and that is these are all different. And the 16th. That's not that. I grabbed the wrong one. Whoopsie. This is it. Yeah, these are all weird sizes. Okay, so we're gonna adjust these. 1/16 on the treble side. I can't even fit that under there, so we're going to loosen this. Try not to bend the string. Or rather kink the string with these edges of this screwdriver. That's what I meant to say. I had to bend the string out of the way as you saw me do. Okay, now that fits. That needs to come up and that needs to come up. So we'll tighten these. I can tell that these have the surgical tubing. You just know the surgical tubing likes to fight you, and then you'll tighten it and then it'll want to like loosen a hair. I got those on the first try. Cool. Then on the bass side we're gonna do 3 32nds, the middle size of this set you get from StewMac. That's almost right there. We're just gonna go like half a turn or so. There is some kind of glue or something on the side of this. There we go. That needs to come up. This middle strap pickup. This is so cool with this this guitar. Imagine if you threw in a set of like Seymour Duncans or like a nice custom set. Because they are, I don't know, well I may like, I could be wrong. I could pull these pickups and they'd be really good. But from my experience of what they put on Mexican Fenders, yeah, upgrading the pickups isn't always a bad idea. There are better pickups. But Some people just like to rock them. If you like it, you like it. There's no right or wrong answer to this. There's just better answers, I guess. Loosen this side a little more. Front of the pickup's kind of drooping, so we'll tighten that so that it's like more level under the strings. That's good on the bass side, and go to the 1/16 again just to double check. Oh, now that won't fit. Let's loosen it. That needs to be both of these two. The middle needs to be down a little bit more, and this down a little more, and I think they'll do it. And then again, it doesn't have to be perfect. It's a starting off point. Now that they're all at a measured starting point, we can kind of play through them. Check, make sure there's similar volumes. But also some people, I guess I'll leave it there. It's a good starting point for the customer. The bridge does sound a little bit louder, but sometimes people like that. They're all at the same height. And then, well, sometimes because it's louder, it'll be hotter. So you can also use that to your benefit as you play. Let me lower that just a hair, even though it's no, I take that back in. It's just brighter. That's what I'm hearing. Oh, of course, it's the treble pickup, duh. But as I strum across, you know, I just hear the brightness go away. They're about the same volume. I think they're close enough to where I don't have to mess with it. I strung that one harder. But then again, I wouldn't gauge anything necessarily. You know, take what you're hearing over the stream with a grain of salt. Because you're hearing this through an amplifier that's underneath this table. That's like a small laney 10-inch thing that's pointed that way. So, and then the camera's above me, which is the microphone that you're hearing. All right, let me tune it again and play it, and I think we'll call this a successful setup. Playing tune. Let's see, Gavin says, do you ever have to dress frets after truss rod adjustments? No, that should not be, never. If I do, it's because of a pre-existing issue. It's not because the dimensions changed because of the truss rod adjustment. And like when I'm adjusting when I'm sighting down and looking at the relief by fretting the 1st fret and the 12th fret, and then checking the gap that's in the middle, I'm sighting at the top of the frets. Really on guitars and basses, the top of the fret should not be 100% flat and level with each other. It should dip slightly in the middle to allow the string to move as it's, allow the string to clear as it's moving, in other words. No, the best thing, and that's a great topic of conversation, the best way to know if you need to dress frets is one of these guys. Also, like on this one, on some of the frets, you can see where it's worn. So there is a little bit of fret wear on some of these, on some of the frets as it is. But the best way to check if you need your frets dressed is, or at least leveled and crowned, is one of these guys. Sometimes I may, if the edges of the frets here are really sharp, like a cheese grater, I may grab that fret indressing file I have and knock them down. But that's just more so for the sprout and not so much for anything, anything else. So let's see how good this guitar is. No rock there. No rock there. A slight rock there, but nothing to be, you can just barely hear it. You probably can't even hear that on camera, but I hear it. That's level. On the next size. Slight rock there. Slight rock there. And so what you do is you take the edge that expands over, if you don't know how to use these, slight rock there. So this fretboard isn't 100% level as it is. And to be honest with you, that's what I've kind of come to expect from Mexican Fenders. There's a big rock there. Now it's not bad. All this is within the realm of playability. None of this is something I would address on this instrument. None of those little discrepancies are really bad. This is still completely playable. Now, if you want to get the utmost, ultimate, lowest action ever, you have to level the frets, because those slight discrepancies will come up the lower you go. And it all depends on all kinds of things. It depends, of course, on the relief in the neck, and it depends on the string size too. The larger strings you use, the more relief, and ideally the more height, the more action you should have, or I guess if that's the right term, the more height from the fretboard you should have with larger strings, because larger strings move more because they're bigger. Hopefully that answers your question. But yeah, it's not typical for me to have to change anything drastically with the frets once I've adjusted the truss rod, unless just something is just really off with the guitar, or rather something's really off with the fret job of that guitar. Alright, I think that'll conclude it for this. It's just a simple setup for this interesting guitar.